As digital cupids, we are the poets of the internet, the Romeos of the web, the psalms whispered on the digital highway. It is our jobs, on behalf of another, to help them express their true feelings, to assist them by writing letters of affection to their secret loves, to pull out what lies deep in their heart and share it with the person of their dreams. Hello internet, how's it going? I'm Ricardo, the cynical critic, and a question that often baffles even the most acclaimed minds of our time is one that you yourself might not have thought of all that much, which is anime art? Well, this explains why we haven't gotten our hoverboards yet, but the answer to that is the same for is video games art? Yes, however, not unlike the flood of abstract art that plagues our museums, torments our skylines, and degrades our culture, anime is art in the sense that yes, it checks all the boxes of what can be objectively agreed upon to be art. But when a single adjective is added to that question of is anime good art, then the answer becomes something completely different in, well, yes, but actually no. See, like any good swine of the capitalist bourgeoisie, Japan understands that if anime is to thrive, it has to be an open and free market. More or less. However, like anything that's suddenly open and free, the inevitable lazy filth will arrive with their diseases, and not unlike the whole straight-to-DVD market, anime was filled with lazy creations that sought only to make a quick buck off the lewd addictive weebs. It's sort of the same problem with YouTube. Relatively easy to get into and to make something, but it usually will end up pretty poor and lacking in substance. Just take my videos for example. However, occasionally there is an artist that rises above, a soul that puts in all their heart, a creator that doesn't take the easy road, leading us to get genuinely good works of art. And is today's first impressions one of those creations? Well, when I first discovered Violet Evergarden, it was because of one of those stupid ads that YouTube thinks that you might like, even though I only watched one video on anime, and no, I don't think I'm interested in Funimation, especially since that video in question just so happened to be on the recent blunders of said company, and I went there to have a good laugh at them, so stop showing me the stupid ad! It is my true belief that all ads on YouTube should come with a like-dislike option. But anyways, in the 5 seconds in which I had to wait for the stupid skip button, I noticed a few flashes of the anime and thought it looked really pretty. So I went online to a undisclosed site to acquire the anime, and since it was only 13 episodes long, I thought I'd watch it. Yeah, I know there's an OVA, but not unlike another certain anime's OVAs, I don't consider it part of the official canon. Anyways, here's what I thought. The story begins with a flashback. You know, I'm starting to feel like Morty here. Why can't you just start your stupid story where it begins? Well, at least the flashback's brief, where the main character, Violet, is buying a pendant because it matches her bae's eyes. Oh, great. More people with eye fetishes. Anyways, after that weird start, she then wakes up in the hospital where she discovers that her arms have been cut off. Okay, listen to me, Rule 34. I know she's pretty and all, but we don't need this tag to get any bigger, please. Anyways, we then find out that she was a soldier in a recent war, and during the final fight, she lost both her arms in defense of her senpai. I mean, commander. But you could have fooled me. Hell, she fools herself as she doesn't even understand what he meant when he told her that he loved her in those final hours. In fact, that's basically the basis of this entire show. A robot's search to find out what I love you means. I wanna know what love is. And I say robot not just because she's a tool of war, but because she has no emotions whatsoever. Luckily, she's a girl, which means that she doesn't come across as constipated like other emotional anime protagonists, and instead just looks cute. And it just so happens to help in her job, as a former lieutenant makes her a doll at his company at her request. An auto memories doll, to be precise, in case any of you 34ers were getting any ideas. Apparently, this all takes place sometime in the early 1900s, I guess. I didn't really exactly pass history, but it's just a bunch of dead people who managed to make something of themselves before they died, so who cares? And in this time, not a lot of people, even the rich, are capable of writing. And thus, that's where these dolls come in play. Writing anything for a customer and even embellishing their words to make them sound better. Basically, they are those people who will write your essay for you because, you know, you were too lazy to get it done. Or, in my case, too dumb to get it done. Now, you think that somebody who ain't got no arms, Lieutenant Ma'am, might have some trouble using a typewriter. But even though they're apparently stuck in Victorian times, somehow they're able to replace lost limbs with robo-parts. Yep, you heard me right. This waifu's got automail, which they revealed to everyone's shock nearly 8 times an episode. And in every episode, we have our robo-waifu failing to understand what these fleshy meatbags' weird customs are and their reactions they call being a human being. But by the end, her hardcore military training helps her to adapt and blend in with the humans. And boy, does she get into some situations in the 13 episodes. Apart from her quest to wanna know what love is, there really isn't an overarching theme or plot besides that. Each episode basically has her going to one customer or another, not understanding them and what their first world problems are, but then finally something penetrates her thick skull and she finally understands their pain. For instance, one of the stories that did stand out as possibly connected to the plot was when she had to write for a princess, as she was to be married off to a neighboring country's prince, all to help strengthen the ties that had been weathered by the recent war. And to help this along, they are writing public love letters to each other to inspire the peasants. And despite the arranged marriage vibe coming from it, she ends up choosing the prince. Now, this stood out to me because the girl is like 13 years old, and this dude is clearly in his early 20s, which means that this guy literally ended up marrying his lolly. I know cultural differences exist, and Japan has a different view on this kind of thing, for reasons that I really don't want to know about, but wow! I'm surprised they got away with this. I mean, this is a Netflix series. Maybe the weebs are finally starting to worm their way into general television. Now, as the show goes on, we do get more and more into a side plot that deals with Violet's dark past. You see, she was built for war. And whether this means that she was created in a test tube or was just raised to be a warrior, we are not told, and all she really knows is to fight and follow orders. Her original commander and senpai was the first to see the girl beyond the tool, which is what sparked this romance novel. Now, we do learn pretty quickly that he didn't make it. It's always a sad thing when a senpai dies. But his brother is still alive, and despite being the one that gave her to him, the dick blames her for the commander's death. And he's not the only one, as she was basically a one-man killing machine. Somehow. I mean, she's like, what, 4'3", 30 pounds? It's like having to fight a freaking midget. How do you lose to that? Like when we get to the end of the show and she stands up against a platoon of resistance soldiers. Fighting? Even though their side lost and the war is over and now their country's leaders are on their way to a peace party, they try to stop it. And Violet, along with her lover's brother, intervene. Now, not only do they have guns and she stands alone and unarmed, but she had recently chosen to give up killing and she still is able to beat the ever-living crap out of them. Wow! Who knew waifus were so strong? And after getting her ass almost handed to her, she wins the day and feels like she's finally able to put the sins of her past behind her. And even her former master accepts her now. I mean, it's a little unrealistic, as she would likely keep having PTSD, but when has anime ever been remotely realistic? Then the show ends with her returning to work, the world returning to peace, and everyone living happily ever after.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
Anyways, we're now here at the end where you get to hear me explain if this was a good anime or not and whether or not I liked it. Well, it might not be a surprise that this is a good anime. Most people liked it, both critics and viewers. However, what might surprise you is that this is probably one of my favorite animes so far. I know, but don't be scared. These aren't the signs of the end times. I'm still not an anime fan. While the show's got a few anime tropes that I don't like, and I've never really been into the romance genre, it's just so beautifully animated and beautifully written that I couldn't help but like it. I'll start with the least notable things that caught my attention. The story. Yeah, it's mostly about an emotionally dead killer trying to find out what the meaning of love is. But it's how the writers tailored the story and character to endear them to us. They first captivate us through the characters' personalities and their interactions, and then pull on our heartstrings by putting them through, well, relatable turmoil. And while Violet really doesn't emote, it's more in a broken and lost feeling than her being broody. Plus, her fellow characters often make up for the lack of atmosphere with their own. It also helps by not having her trying to find new love either, just to understand the love that she did have and to find a new life in this world she helped create. Another thing that might have made this more palpable to the general audience is by throwing out any semblance of where she came from. We never find out if she was orphaned or if she was literally created, and it works in the show's favor. By not having a plot or even a subplot of her getting back at the people that made her into a killing machine allows us to keep focus on what's important, her place in the here and now. Now, while there are about like 6 or 7 different subplots that she goes through, each of them revolve around one aspect of humanity or another, allowing us to witness her growth as someone with an identity beyond the soldier, all the while breaking our hearts with touching stories of characters we barely even know. I might have joked about the whole lolly child marriage thing, but it plays into the era, and more importantly, it never comes across as weird or unnatural despite the, unnatural theme. It instead focuses on 2 unsure souls who loved each other and their challenge to fulfill their duties as the future rulers. Another story that hit me perhaps a little too hard was the father-daughter themed one. I won't get into too much detail as I really don't want to start crying again, but it's a wonderfully built one seen through the lens of, well, a story. A writer asks for help to push past his writer's block, and after a literal emotional roller coaster ride, it ends with him getting back on his feet, even though we can't get back on ours because, yeah, it hits that hard. And in each one of these stories, it deals with the central theme of love. Some romantic, others familiar, others is the bond between friends. But in each, Violet learns the complex word that drives many to giving up all they have just to experience it. Now, forgive me for enforcing my religion on you for a second, but there's this verse in the Bible which speaks about it, and it goes something like this. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, it always preserves. And I think this show captured that pure, eternal, self-sacrificial concept of love beautifully. The last part I'll talk about is of course the visuals, which should come as no surprise are very well done. It's sort of a common trope in anime that, along with boobs and lollies, that it often has very good visuals. But Violet Evergarden goes one step above and beyond that. It's like the creators said to themselves, now see here, if we're gonna make this show good looking, we're gonna make it look f***ing fantastic. Like how you can pause almost any frame in the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and pretty much get a screenshot of a comic book panel, you can freeze this show almost at any moment and get a work of art. And it's not just the visuals that went far above what they needed to be, as the music is also stunning and matches the mood perfectly. This is the kind of show that gives me faith in anime and why I will always have hope in it. When Australian senators and European tosspots and ugly SJWs and the evils of PC culture come to destroy whatever they can of anime, you can bet your big butt that I'll be standing side by side with you weebs on the front lines. And you know we'll win cause A, weebs are more than willing to die for the waifus, B, most of us are Republicans, which means we'll be the ones with guns, and C, as a Christian, I can literally say that I have the power of God and anime on my side. And though there's a lot of things I don't like about anime, I understand and respect this culture. There are things I would change to have more shows like this come out, but I know that there are a lot of you out there that like this dumber side of anime, and since it's not really hurting anyone, I support its right to exist and for your right to experience those stories. I even support the right for lolis.
What?
Even though I know it's kind of wrong, but since they're just drawings and no kids are even used in the voice acting, I guess I will just stand here and sigh as you consume the candy that will inevitably give you no nourishment and instead likely be the cause of your early demise. Anyways, this is the kind of anime that I started this series for. Like how Your Name, the movie, not the phrase, was sort of dumb in concept, it still was a beautiful experience, and I look forward to the next one. But what about you guys? Are there any of you that saw this show? What did you think? Do you think that the snowflakes of this world will ever be able to take on the titan that is anime? Or are you happy to have such entertaining fools to laugh at as they waste their lives on a pointless endeavor? Leave me a comment down below alongside the one of which anime I should watch next. This time, I'll take a look at the more lewd side of anime. Which should I watch next? Kill la Kill or Kid Joe? Type hashtag first impressions down below alongside with your choice. Till next time, I'm Ricardo, the Cynical Critic, and I'm very happy to give anime a chance. Just for moments like these. But hey, while first impressions may be good or bad, you won't know until you give it a view. I'll see you guys next time. Toodles!